What is up? Welcome back to another video. So today my negative's back, half frame stuff that I shot on the new Pentax 17 camera and the Canon Demi EE17. I'm looking at it right there. I'm also trying to open this one-handed. I should have done this before I started recording. I don't really do a lot of prep work, if you can't tell. First off, I want to give another quick shout out to the Bronco buddies. Their names are right here. If you join the channel, get access to exclusive content, early release to some videos. I'm working on a couple other extra little perks for everybody. This coffee is brought to you by one of the Bronco buddies, Rich. He actually sent in some coffee with his camera that I repaired in the lo-fi video that I'll link up there. So check that out. Shout out to Rich, appreciate you, man. And then also join the channel. Also, real quick, while we're talking about the lo-fi video, I enjoyed that. I don't know how everyone else felt about it, but I thought it was very fun. I have a lot of like kind of random repair videos that I've recorded, and whether it's like late at night or my girlfriend's here or whatever, it's like I don't have audio. So I'm like, I don't even know what to do with these because I don't really like doing voiceovers. It's not my thing, you know, like I'm just much more of like a off the cuff kind of guy. So I don't know, I might do more of those, but let me know in the comments below what you thought of the video, if you liked it, if you want to see more of that kind of like chill, relaxing repair vibes, or if it stresses you out. Guess that works too. I have gotten an alarming number of requests to do like audio book things, or like just talking for long periods of time, because apparently people enjoy falling asleep to my voice, which on one hand, it's very sweet. On the other hand, begs the question of, is my content that boring? And then on the third hand, anyway, I was working at the shop, and I picked up the phone and was talking to the guy, and he was like, "Hey, is this Bronco?" It's just like, dude, what the hell? He's recognizing, like I said, like I was like, "Hey, this is Alex, how can I help you?" He's like, "Oh, wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah." I repeated the first statement, like, "Hey, whatever you called so and so, like, how can I help you?" He's like, "Oh, is this Bronco?" And I was like, dude, it's crazy. Anyway, lo-fi videos, might do more of those. I want to go through my negatives real quick because I got them back, and I'm just gonna talk about them briefly. Not too long, honestly, because I'm not trying to make like a marathon video here. Another couple of comments from people that were like, man, I don't think people understand how low quality half frame is. And yeah, I shoot with 110 film, I shoot with Super 8 film, I shoot with 16mm film. Personally, I kind of like the grittier aesthetics. I like the presence that like smaller formats can really provide. Sometimes like the sharpness of things I find offsetting, and I know that's just like my opinion. It's a valid opinion, even though it's just mine. You know, we can all disagree on things such as that. But personally, it hasn't really bothered me too much. And after seeing the results, it was like, they're sharp enough. I do just like medium res scans. I don't do like the high res scans. I'm not trying to like make massive prints out of it or anything like that. And I don't think most people are. I think for a lot of people, the hope is just to like have something and put on social media, or maybe do a small print. I'm not too sure. You know, just something to kind of send to people and what have you. So I think for those applications, half frame is probably a viable choice, but I think the other component to it is you're kind of stuck. Like, okay, so say the Pentax 17 is the camera that you have, or the Demi E17, or one of the pen cameras, one of the EES Trip Olympus things. There's the Canon Auto Dial, I think, is a half frame. There's the Yashica, I think it's a Yashica Ninja or like a Yashica Shogun. I'm trying to think what other half frame cameras are. There's one that like goes from full frame to half frame. I think that's a Fujika something or another. Anyway, any of those half frames, if that's what you have. The problem with it, in my mind, which it might not be a problem if you know it going into it, but the problem is you're stuck with that roll of film for a while for most people. I shoot film very fast. Like I get through a roll pretty quick. I have very little discern for what I'm taking photos of. I just take photos. Not everyone is that way. Most people, most good photographers aren't that way. I'm not a good photographer, ergo, that's how I shoot. But it's a very similar discussion to like people that like shooting with like the modular camera systems, like the Hasselblads, like the Bronicas, which is a tease for an upcoming video, like the RB67, RZ67, but don't do the RZ67 because nobody wants to work on those. When they fail, and they will fail because they're electronically controlled systems, very, very few technicians in the world want to work on them, myself included. But anyway, all of those like modular build cameras, the beauty behind that is if you're on a shoot somewhere or if you're out and about, my buddy John does this all the time. Remember, check out John Mock Film. His channel is great. But he has a couple film backs for his Hasselblad. So he'll have like one that's loaded with black and white, another one that's loaded with color, or, you know, something of that variety. And that's a great thing. Like, honestly, having that utility is great because different environments call for different films. Now, there is also something to be said about kind of limiting your options and only having one film that you can shoot with and then making it work for a variety of environments. That's another completely different approach, but it's a valid approach nonetheless. But I think half frame, again, is one of those things where if you're stuck with that particular film stock for such a long time, in my mind, maybe fatigue can settle in or something of that sort. And I don't know. I think I'm trying to like delve into the minutia of thoughts here because there's a lot that goes into it. Just the fucking stupidest thing anyone's ever said. I don't know if half frame is necessarily for me. I especially don't think that the 17 is for me, just because the experience of shooting with it I find to be not very satisfying, if that makes sense, versus the EE17. Like, I really enjoy holding it. I enjoy the advanced system. I enjoy the shutter. I enjoy the movement of the optics, like when you're focusing. I enjoy all of the different little settings, the little dials. I think the viewfinder is really nice too. There's just so many like little nuances about this camera that I personally enjoy using, and I kind of have come to the belief that like if I'm going to shoot half frame, which I likely might not, but if I was to, I'd want to shoot on this because I trust this. Takes really sharp images for being a half frame, and overall it's a really nice camera just to kind of tote around. Like, it's very cute. I made a video on this as well, check that out. Anyway, back to the reason behind this video. I've got my negatives back. As you can tell, these are the half frames. These are the 17. So you can see they get crammed in there pretty well. A minor point that I want to make about the camera that I'm not probably going to address in the actual review, but the mode selection dial, I really think there should be a locking mechanism on it, and it might just be because I'm a clumsy person, but oftentimes I would like take a photo, there's no lock mechanism for the modes, and I feel like that's kind of a weird thing, because if it was like the shutter speed or if it was an aperture dial, you know, you kind of want to thumb through them really quickly and do that, but it's not, it's your mode selection. So it's like you don't really need to like rip through them to like get to the right mode, especially because they're all very similar. And I would just think that you kind of want a lock mechanism if you're meant to shoot on bokeh, and then we shoot to like, you know, like you want to be on bokeh. You don't want to like accidentally thumb over to bulb. And the way that the mode selection dial kind of sits out, like that can be an issue. So that's something I noticed. I was going through as I was shooting the camera. I was like, oh, this is something that I'm like having to make a conscious point to identify, make sure that I'm shooting in the right setting, which, again, very moot point, but I still think it's a valid point of critique nonetheless. So yeah, these were the shots. I'll probably review them in more detail in the actual review video versus the Demi 17, which again, they're all kind of crammed in here as well. I think this was also Fujifilm. Yeah, this was, I think, Superior 400. These first few shots I actually shot in the old basement. It's terrifying. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think, again, the images are really sharp. It's kind of an insane amount of photos, though. And I think that kind of goes back to the point of, like, it's kind of a lot to deal with. And not only in, like, terms of the shooting experience, it's a lot to get through 72 shots, but on top of that, it's like the editing process has now virtually become doubled. And I feel like there is a definitive trade-off between quantity and quality, not only in the actual size of the photos, but also just in the nature of them. And that might, again, be because how I shoot. It's very quick, very fast. I like getting through a roll, you know? But I'm looking at these photos, and there are many of them where I think the allure of having more shots makes me think less about taking the photo. So as I'm thinking less and spending less time composing what could be a reasonably quality image, the results show for themselves. It's not good. Like, they're just not good photos. It's just, that's straight up how it is. And I think that's, you know, obviously a shortcoming as the photographer, but it's also just a byproduct of the system. And I don't think, like, in that instance, I don't pair well with half frame photography, so to speak. I think that might be different had I been, like, traveling, like on a trip or something like that, and kind of zoned in on just shooting half frame. But because of all of the cameras I have, because of all the stuff I'm trying to do with this channel and with other things in life, it's really hard, especially with the 17, to feel the motivation to go out and shoot with it. So anytime I'd like leave the house, I'm like, well, I got to grab it so I can get through this roll, make a video, and so on and so forth. So I think it kind of became a bit more of a labor than one of satisfaction. I go, no, what the fuck? It just became more of a chore. There it is. More of a chore than something enjoyable, which I know is not Pentax's intention, but again, that's just how I had the experience. And I also don't think that that's completely fair. That's not a critique or anything like that. That's just my perception of the experience. But I do think it's worth noting, and I think that that also kind of shows in the quality of images that I was able to produce, which aren't very good. My intent moving forward would be to, like, really dedicate a bit of time to shooting with it, track everything I'm doing, and just make a point to try to master it in some degree, as opposed to just ripping through it to be done, you know. So I think that's probably what I will do in the future. I got a bunch of other stuff I need to finish up, but that's that. The other thought that I had was, like, doing a comparison piece between the two half-frame cameras and just like, which one was better? Like, which experience did I prefer, and make a video regarding that. I don't think there's much, like, substance to that, because I think it's kind of apples to oranges. They're very different cameras, and it's really going to depend upon the person shooting with it. I think some people are really going to enjoy use case of the 17, just something kind of straightforward. In my mind, I think the Demi was just a far superior experience. I felt like I was a little bit more in the driver's seat, a little bit more in control, but also I could still set the aperture to auto, just have the shutter speed selection. The build factor of it was nice. It's quite an aesthetically pleasing system, and I don't know, I don't think that that's, like, a really apt comparison. I don't think that's entirely fair, so I kind of skirted away from that video, and instead I'm producing what I hope will be a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable for others. The other thing I got back was a roll of, yeah, I got these back. This was from the Fed 5C, which I think I'm actually really stoked with how these turned out. I was really guessing on a lot of them for focus because the focus is just so fucked. It's so hard to see through that goddamn viewfinder. But the photos turned out okay. And for a $30 lens I got from Kazakhstan, came out pretty nice. Test roll through a Minolta, and that turned out pretty cool too, which I'm stoked about. I'll probably be selling that soon though, because I don't need another Minolta in my life. Also, shout out to the viewer who ended up finding me on eBay. It's really not that hard. I made that video a while ago and it kind of just got lost in the shuffle with all the other stuff I had to roll out. I just need to put something out. So I was like, oh, this will be good. Like, it's just a fun, I thought in my mind, just a fun little, you know, half-hour video of me just cleaning stuff before I took pictures of it. I still feel a little bit weird about sharing my eBay because it's like kind of my personal one. I tried setting up one just for the business and then that didn't really pan out. It's like I might also just start selling it on the website because now my website's just been it's just now a storefront. I don't know how I messed that up, but I got to go back in there and fix it somehow because I'm missing out on a lot of like form submissions and other stuff like that. And I wanted to redesign my website for a little bit because I felt like it had kind of gotten a bit stale. So I guess this now just gives me another opportunity to do that, which is great. But, you know, would have been cool to like have actually planned it. Don't forget to check out my website and buy some stickers. I sent out my first batch of orders there. Reminder, this first like batch of stickers will include a personalized typewritten message by yours truly, because the stickers were also hand designed by me and they're not the best things in the world, but I still think they're kind of fun. Okay, if you buy the stickers, I will ship them out to you. You get a letter, I make a little bit of money, and then I'm going to put all of the money that I make off of that into producing more stickers, more merch, and I have some hopeful updates on that very soon here, so stay tuned for that. I just wanted to do a little catch-up video. I got some negatives back and I wanted to talk about half-frame stuff, and then that kind of devolved into what this is. I do think at some point relatively soon, because I need to do this, I want to do like a live stream where I'm just like sorting through my negatives because I've got a big bucket of them, and then as I'm like putting them away, I can, you know, answer questions, talk to you guys and stuff. So if that's something you'd be interested in, comment that down below as well. I'll see about setting that up sometime, maybe like this weekend or something like that. That'd be nice, because I'm trying to like clean up stuff around here, mostly my stuff, because I just feel bad. I've got so much shite. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Like it if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel. Also, join the channel as well if you want to become a Bronco buddy. Get access to those exclusive content things. I have a review for the Pentax 17 that's going to be just for the members that I'll be releasing soon. So definitely, if you want to check that out, join the channel. I really appreciate the support. You get shout outs on videos. You get, you know, exclusive content, you get early access, and you get my undying appreciation. So really, what more could you ask for? That will do it though. Catch you on the next one.